All right, good Tuesday practice. Got a really good opponent coming into town. Someone that embarrassed us last year, and we got to go to work. And it's not about what happened last year. It's about why, and we got to come in here and fix it. And really well coached team. You would think that that they beat us that bad, and all that. I really like Coach Jones, man. I think he's a really good coach. I tend to talk to him at the head coaches meetings. Got a lot of wisdom. Um, I enjoy listening to him and interacting with him. He's very knowledgeable and a really good coach. I think he's done a heck of a job there, recruiting and developing, and just should be a really fun, hard-fought battle for 4 quarters on Saturday in front of a packed house. And it'll be an exciting one, and one you won't want to miss. So I'm really excited. Our guys are fired up. We had a really good practice today, a physical practice. And simulated a 4 quarters situation, and just I'm excited for these guys. It's going to be a great opportunity for them. Questions?
Obviously we got the game coming this week with that win on Thursday, 38-17 over Troy. It's way less penalties. A lot of things were cleaned up. Well, what were you most satisfied with at that game, and what went into preparing for that game in the week, and why the product looked better?
Yeah, I think like you said, the penalties were down, and the discipline was up, and that's something I think as coaches, every team is different. I think you're seeing that around college football. Every week is different in college football, and it's one of those deals where you look at it from a head coach's, and the psychology behind it. The first game of the season versus Lamar, a lot of penalties. UTSA, obviously you emphasize it, UTSA down. Arizona State, somewhere in the middle, you have a 17-day break, the penalties are up. So I think for us as coaches, as much as we like to have fun and enjoy the process, we figured out with these guys, you can't do that as much, and so we're starting to figure out who this team is, because every team is different. Now we're still going to have fun, we're going to fly around, but the way you have fun is beating people, and obviously we've shown when we have not a lot of penalties, we go out there and play really well, and if you do have penalties, you got to be able to overcome it. Some of that's out of your control as far as that goes. So I like where we're at. I think the coaches have done a really good job, and the players have done a really good job, and they're starting to understand too who this team is as well.
Coach, y'all beat a Troy program for the first time since 1997. That's when Claude Mathis was a running back here. Just what did it mean to get a victory over a program that Texas State historically has never had much success against?
For I think this team, and like I said, it's one of those deals where, maybe because UTSA was right down the road, you hear that more. I think for our guys, it was probably just another conference game and a conference game on the road. So I don't think we put too much into that, besides the fact that, hey, we need to go get a win to start conference off on the right note, have some momentum going into conference play, and I think we're able to do that. But obviously, any time you can have a victory like that over an opponent you haven't beaten before. There is some recruiting battles that go on with those guys, especially with the junior college kids. So I think that part's always good.
Looking at this Arkansas State offense, just what are you going to be expecting from the Red Wolves?
Yeah, I think it starts with their O-line probably. They got multiple guys on all conference lists. They got multiple guys that are projected to get drafted. I think they're coached really well. I know their O-line coach, he does a tremendous job with those guys. Similar background as myself, and just a really solid coach that has some really good players. The quarterback is a stud. They got 2 quarterbacks that can play, and Jalen and Timmy. So both of those guys can play, and they've shown that, and obviously Jalen can throw it, he can run it. I thought the 2-minute drill at the end of the game, I was watching at my house, and he just went right down the field, boop, 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 right, go score, done, right, ball game. So I think he has that to him. That's always something when you're evaluating quarterbacks, that winner in you, and he's disciplined, and he's a really solid player. Obviously, Rucker is a super talented guy, and I think he was second in the country last week in receiving yards, and he can really play. They got some other guys that are that bring a great skill set and can get open, and they're one of those teams that they can beat you running the ball. Obviously, they proved that last year with Cross and those other backs, and then they can throw it as well. So, You know, I think they're really well coached and they got really good players.
You know, looking at that game from last year, just what did y'all, when y'all went over the game film, just what did you learn from that game, and how do y'all, I guess, just making sure that doesn't happen again when y'all play this Saturday?
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of those deals where it comes down to execution. We couldn't, you know, turn the ball over like that and expect to win any game. And we couldn't have beat a high school team that day. So I think it's going to be about us going in and taking care of our business. And if you look at the game, that first half, you know, we got the ball back and we fumbled, you know, right before half, and then it kind of snowballed. And then obviously they had, you know, interception returns, fumble returns, kickoff returns. So it's going to be about us executing, because they're really good and they're going to be well prepared and ready to go.
And we're going to get to talk to Jaden Williams here in a little
Yep.
bit. After Ashton Hawkins entered the transfer portal, it seemed like he had a pretty big void there that he's somewhat stepped into. Just talk about him just getting to know this offense after coming in as a transfer and everything, and just how he's worked his way in there so quickly.
Yeah, I think he stepped in and that he battled in the spring for a job, and he was one of those guys that is, you know, coming back home, and we saw the talent on film, and you know, Coach Darryl Wyatt, the receiver coach over there at Boston College, we worked together at UCF, so we had a relationship there. And usually the guys that we hit on in the portal, we have some kind of relationship somewhere. Like, hey, you can call and be like, hey, vouch for this kid, or hey, this kid can really play. Because the portal, you never know what. Just like Bryce, I call his head coach, and I knew him at Gardner Webb, and he said, hey, no brainer, take, you know, one of those type deals. And James he's one of those guys that came in here, he worked, he earned everything he had. You know, obviously he started off strong, and he's got great speed, he's got great hands. He's not 6'4", but he plays like that. And you know, I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I really do. I don't think this will be his last year playing football. I think he'll continue to play at a high level, and he's got the speed. He's super smart, great kid, one of the leaders in the room. You saw that early on in the spring ball, kind of taking the younger guys, even being a new guy, kind of taking them under their wing and you know, showing them how it's done. So super excited to have him. And in the transfer world, you never know exactly what you're going to get. And I feel like our staff maybe has done better than anyone in the country at evaluating and bringing guys in like Jaden, bringing guys in like Bryce Bass that come in here and are on the leadership council, or they are leaders, and they come out here and have productive seasons. So it's part of college football now, and you better be on top of your game when it comes to transfers.
We got Bryce Bass coming up too. Through 5 games, you're 21 sacks. It's tied for the nation lead. You guys have always taken a huge step towards getting after the quarterback. It's a big emphasis of your defense. What has increased that this year? Is it personnel? Is it schemes? A little bit of both? What's the difference this year?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think we're super talented in that room, and I think we've done a really good job scheme-wise and putting those guys in a position. And we have a bunch of those guys in there, so you're able to rotate and you're able to stay fresh. And you know, we have different packages on third downs and putting guys on the field and putting them in positions to have success. So, and I think the DBs help with that. I think the linebackers help with that. It's not just, hey, the defense line's getting sacks by themselves. There's rush and cover for a reason, and those guys in the back end are doing a really good job of covering. And so I think it's probably a combination. And I also think that's just kind of who we are. We're aggressive, and we get after the quarterback. And I think my time with Coach Graham at Tulsa and then you know, following that's kind of how he made his living on defense, was affecting the quarterback. That's what he always used to say. He said, I got a big old house and a lot of money because I know how to affect the quarterback. And it doesn't matter who it is. Tom Brady, you hit the quarterback enough, it's going to affect him. And so that's kind of our game plan every week, is how can we affect the quarterback.
Coach, you guys are both undefeated in the conference right now. You know, you guys are predicted to win it. They're 0-2, you know, on the road. How do you take advantage of that, and, you know, so you guys can stay on top?
Yeah, I think just like I've kind of said going back, like Sun Belt play, you don't really know about teams until you get into conference and you play common opponents after week after week after week. I mean, look, they played Michigan. I mean, those guys are pretty good, you know, so it's hard to get a true eval on them. So Iowa State, turns out they're a pretty good team that runs a very unique scheme on defense. So I think we'll kind of know as the season goes on exactly, you know, who these guys are and who we are, and I think last week was a pretty good indicator. I think 2 really good teams in the West getting after it, and Arkansas, you know, State found a way to to pull it out and win. So I think they're really good. I think they're really well coached, and it's going to be a battle.
What did you tell Coach last week after the end of the game there, Coach, just on that play with 20 seconds left?
Yeah, that's between us. I got a lot of respect for Coach and what he's doing over there, and he's a really good coach with a really good team.
Halfway through the season, basically, right at the, talk to us about up front on the offensive line.
Yeah.
As a staff, how have y'all evaluated that, and where do you see the improvement need to come?
Yeah, man, I think our offensive line has been one of those groups that maybe, like I said, even before the season, maybe don't get the love that they deserve because they're really talented. And I think McLeod has helped with that, his pocket movement and the way he's able to escape things. You know, the first third down of the game, for example, you know, they bring cover 0 and we pick it up right, and McLeod's able to get out and escape. So I think it's a combination of McLeod and the offensive line. I think we got a bunch of guys that have played a lot of snaps. You're talking about Nash Jones and Dorian Strawn and Talik Locke has played a lot of snaps. Alex Harkey's come on and you know, he's super talented and really good and playing at an extremely high level. Chase Todd's voting on the, you know, he's here last year, played some valuable snaps a year ago, and Trent Scott's another guy that rotates in there, and so we feel like we got 6 or 7 guys that can play at a high level, and I think Coach Shue's done a really good job with them as well. And I think the scheme always helps. I think you have to have both. You can't just have good players. You can't just have good scheme. You got to have both to put a good product on the field. And I think we have a good combination of good players and good coaching and good scheme.
Take one more if you got it.
Coach, how's the team health-wise heading to Arkansas State, and also just Ben Bill status for the
Yeah, knock on wood, pretty healthy, which is good to see. Obviously, we got Torrey back last week, which was awesome. I love seeing Torrey out there. You know, 6'4", 6'5", 200+ pounds. He can cover like a corner and hit like a DB. One of the leaders on the team, and so it's always great to get a really good player and a really good leader back on your defense. Ben was you know, same thing. He'll be week to week, and we'll kind of see how that goes moving forward. And so nothing really has changed on his status, and we'll know more, you know, the Thursday and Friday leading up to game day.
Thank you.
Yep, thanks.
Yes, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Yes, sir.